Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. Vancouver's FIFA price tag more than doubles.
This event will generate more than $1 billion in additional tourist dollars.
BC Place will be the backdrop for 7 World Cup matches in 2026, now at a cost of roughly $500 million. Plus, training and preparing for what's ahead.
I love the natural beauties of BC, and I don't want to see it all go up into smoke.
We join a team of new recruits gearing up to battle BC's wildfires in what's expected to be a long and dry season. Also, the Canucks countdown is on.
Officers on bicycles, on horse, on foot. We'll have our traffic control out.
Vancouver police urge fans to celebrate responsibly by not drinking in public places.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Tanya Fletcher. Thanks for joining us. We begin with another update in the case that has left many people in White Rock on edge. The same man has now been named as the primary suspect in both of last week's stabbings. Michelle Gassoub has been following this story and joins us now with the very latest developments. So Michelle, what more do we know about the suspect?
And so yesterday, 27-year-old Dimitri Nelson Hyacinth was arrested in the deadly attack. That's the one that happened last Wednesday, and the victim in that case, Cowinder Sohi, died at the scene along the waterfront promenade in White Rock. And today, Hyacinth was charged with aggravated assault in a separate attack. That's the one that took place 2 days before in the same area near the pier. And these two attacks happening back to back and not very far apart from each other sparked a manhunt and widespread concern for people there. So this confirmation that the same man previously arrested has now been charged with one of the incidents is significant for the community tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. What are investigators still asking from the public now?
Well, Tanya, well, we did get that update today of the charge. The investigation very much remains ongoing. So police are asking people for any information they may have. They're asking witnesses to come forward if someone did see something. They're also asking for dash cam footage of those nights. And tonight, White Rock RCMP are holding a town hall at the community center to discuss public safety. It starts at 7 p.m. and we will bring you coverage of that meeting.
All right, we look forward to those updates. Thanks so much, Michelle. Anticipation is building ahead of the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup. Vancouver is hosting 7 matches at BC Place, but it won't come cheap. Today, the latest cost estimates have been revealed, and they've ballooned. As Karen Larson tells us, the price tag has now more than doubled.
The revised price tag for bringing a small part of the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup to Vancouver is now somewhere in the $500 million zone. At the low end, estimated at $483 million. At the high end, $581 million, with contingencies built in for inflation and cost overruns. The federal government is contributing $115 million, but it's BC taxpayers picking up the biggest part of the tab, at least $140 million, and possibly much more if the financial picture changes.
The budget we put forward today, we believe, is the one that is accurate, and I think taxpayers expect us to work within that budget.
Vancouver's mayor says hosting the games will pay off in multiples of tourist dollars.
We are literally hosting 30 to 40 Super Bowl equivalents in the city of Vancouver over a month-long period. You got to figure a lot of people are going to fall in love with our city when they see it.
Officials say the, quote, long tail of the 7 BC Place Stadium games will generate over $1 billion in revenue if you extrapolate to the year 2031. The BC Taxpayers Federation says that estimate and the entire FIFA World Cup project is offside.
As of today, every single minute of playtime for the World Cup is going to cost taxpayers about $922,000. With the total cost of these games, we could hire about 855 new teachers and pay their salaries for a decade. We could build 17 new schools anywhere in the province.
Upwards of $200 million is going towards BC Place Stadium renovations, a new jumbotron, upgraded bathrooms for fans, upgraded dressing rooms for players, newer and bigger elevators to improve accessibility, and changing out the artificial turf field for a real grass surface, as demanded by FIFA regulations. Although the teams and tournament schedule won't be finalized until next year, Team Canada is guaranteed to play 2 of its group stage matches at BC Place. Karen Larson, CBC News, Vancouver.
For the third straight day, all London drugstores remain closed, and there's no indication of when they might reopen. On Sunday, the BC-based company announced it was dealing with a cybersecurity incident. London Drugs is now investigating whether personal data was compromised, saying if that's the case, anyone affected will be notified. An earlier statement had said there was no reason to believe customer or employee data had been affected, but some customers we spoke with say it's enough to consider switching pharmacies because of it.
They'll probably lose customers, because I'll tell you, if I have to move, if I go to Costco, I probably won't come back.
A little bit of a headache, so yeah, not fun. I'm sure corporate there is having a fun day today.
I got an order, London Drugs, one item, $5.50, but they are not open. So I'll have to mention the shop is closed.
I went past a clock radio I've been looking to buy for like months, and it's on sale, so it's frustrating. I can't buy it.
And the phone lines are still not operating either, but customers can go to their local stores to pick up prescriptions. Canada Post offices that are located inside London drugstores are also being affected. Customers can pick up parcels, but will have to pay for postage fees in cash. A digital registration program to fight bike theft will now be available to police departments across BC. This program initially started in Vancouver. Now it's getting a funding boost from the province.
We went from 3,065 bikes being stolen in 2015 to 1,049 bikes being stolen in 2023.
The database, known as Project 529, allows police to quickly look up stolen bikes to find out if they're already registered to an owner. The project has also caught the attention of police forces around the world. New Zealand has also signed a similar agreement for national police to use a similar database. Blue Bus union members in West Vancouver are taking part in a strike vote today. Union leaders have been caught up in contract negotiations since early December. They're arguing for better working conditions and benefits for their 150 union members, including a guaranteed 5-minute bathroom break and an improved long-term disability plan. The District of West Vancouver says it's disappointed by the strike vote and adds the parties have already reached common ground on many issues. An unusual situation at the BC legislature today. 2 private members' bills were introduced. One from the BC Greens on creating a fair playing field for retrofitted vehicles. That bill will move ahead. The other is from the BC Conservatives. It's aimed at preventing trans athletes from competing against girls and women in publicly funded sports. As Mira Baines explains, that bill was voted down.
2 private members' bills introduced today, but 2 very different reactions here in Victoria. The BC Greens say their bill is aimed at providing the same grants and rebates for the conversion of gas or diesel vehicles to electric that are available to people purchasing electric vehicles.
In the bigger picture here, what we want are incentive programs, rebate programs, grant programs that are really focused on the innovation that we have right here in BC.
Merit-based Edison Motors, which recently sparked an investigation in the handling of clean energy grants by accounting firm MNP, supports the Greens bill. They hope to electrify more large trucks.
The market's largely being overlooked, like the logging, the heavy construction, the vocational, the F450, 550. There's no electric options out there. These are work trucks that people really need to use.
That bill went through to a second reading, but the BC Conservatives failed to gain enough support for their bill, which would prevent trans athletes from participating in some girls' and women's events.
Events and tournaments that are publicly funded must be classified by sex and limits participation to participants of the biological sex that corresponds to the sex classification.
The bill was killed with a standing vote. BC United and the BC Conservatives voted for it to move ahead. The BC NDP and Greens blocked it. BC United says under leader Kevin Falcon, it's parliamentary tradition to support all bills from all 4 political parties on first reading out of respect for the democratic process. Government House Leader Ravi Kahlon and field hockey player who competed at the Olympics says there are more pressing issues, including housing and health care.
I was bullied as a kid. I can tell you that sport saved me, and it's sport that saves a lot of young people out there. And to use our kids and their ability to just be amongst friends and playing something that they love as a political tool to try to score some points is shameful, in my opinion.
The political wrangling is expected to ramp up as we near the end of the spring legislative session, heading into a fall election. Mira Baines, CBC News, Victoria.
Well, people living in RV parks are getting more protections from the provincial government. Previously, there was no limit on how often owners could change RV park rules. Now they'll only be allowed to make updates once a year. They'll also have to give tenants 3 months' notice of any changes.
Seen a lot of ownership changes in these parks. Often in the beginning, it's a family and it's a community, and there's a sense of connection for everybody involved. And often we're seeing the new investors are buying them in, finding ways just to evict everybody with notices so that they can develop the area. It's putting a lot of people on the verge of homelessness.
These changes were recommended by the 2018 Renters Task Force, which pointed out more RV parks were being purchased by investors. As for why it took 6 years to get here, the minister says many of the new owners do not live in Canada and were difficult to track down. He adds the province wanted to make sure they were consulted with them before these changes were implemented. In Ottawa, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was ejected from the House of Commons today. It's rare for a Speaker of the House to take such a measure. He accused him of unparliamentary language. The CBC's Kate McKenna now with how all of this political drama unfolded.
With a packed gallery in the House of Commons, including 2 school groups, question period got nasty.
What hasn't been answered by the Leader of the Opposition is why he chooses to continue to court extreme right nationalist groups.
I always condemn extremism and racism, including from the guy who spent the first half of his adult life as a practicing racist.
As party leaders hurled insults, the backbenches roared, and the Speaker lost control.
And I'm going to ask all members to control themselves.
The first to be tossed out, Conservative MP Rachel Thomas for insulting the Speaker.
I think that the chair is acting in a disgraceful manner.
Then things got even worse, with the Prime Minister accusing the opposition leader of courting extremists after visiting anti-carbon tax protesters earlier this month.
It was a choice to pander to white nationalists.
Mr. Speaker, it is a choice for him to implement extremist policies.
Pierre Poilievre asked about BC's request to reverse the decriminalization of some hard drugs in an attempt to reduce the number of overdose-related deaths.
When will we put an end to this wacko policy by this wacko Prime Minister?
No. There are a couple of things which are going on here today, which is not acceptable.
Poilievre was asked to withdraw the term wacko and refused repeatedly, so he got kicked out too.
Mr. Poilievre, I have to name you for disregarding the authority of the chair.
Soon, all Conservatives left the chamber in protest. Within minutes, Poilievre posted online saying he was censored.
Who silences him? He keeps saying dumb things. I think it would be good if he shut up. He shut his yap once in a while.
Both parties sent out fundraising emails trying to capitalize on the dust-up.
And so, colleagues, brings us to an end of a remarkable question period.
And they're back again Wednesday. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, TransLink says new data shows ridership has returned to pre-pandemic levels, which means unprecedented overcrowding. Metro Vancouver's population is growing rapidly with 1.2 million average daily boardings. The Fraser Valley has seen the largest system-wide increase in ridership with 29% more. The top 3 busiest SkyTrain stations are Waterfront, followed by Metrotown and Commercial Broadway. The 99B line again takes first place for the busiest bus line, followed by the R4 41st Ave Rapid Bus and the 49 between Metrotown and UBC.
Really, we want to be able to increase service across the boards without making any cuts to anywhere else, which is what we're going to be starting to do with this investment plan.
Previously, TransLink had to reduce service in some areas just to meet demand in other areas. This new plan will focus on adding more service to the top 16 busiest bus routes, plus increasing service on the C-Bus and the Canada Line. As we head into another fire season, members of a volunteer fire department are still grappling with all that they've lost. Collectively, more than half of their homes burned down near West Kelowna last August. As our Brady Strachan is hearing, the Wilson's Landing Fire Department not only rose from the ashes, it's stronger and more united than before.
Well, this was where the bicycles melted.
Memories of the destruction are singed into Rob Baker's memory. For 20 years, he and his wife, Anique, lived in their home with breathtaking views of Okanagan Lake until a raging inferno burned it to the foundation 8 months ago.
Yeah, it's amazing how it turns to nothing. You look at a whole entire house, and then when you look at, a pile of rubble, you think, well, where did it all go?
Unlike most who lost their homes to the fire, Baker saw his up close, engulfed in flames. He's a captain with the local volunteer fire department.
Any sort of shock it came later. It came later. We were busy, we were tired, we were working hard, we were sweaty, and we were doing the job.
Baker wasn't the only one on his team who lost a home that night. A dozen of his colleagues suffered a similar fate as the fire destroyed homes all along the western side of Okanagan Lake.
This is our water tender.
Fire Chief Paul Zidovich's house wasn't spared. He led the volunteer fire department through some of its darkest hours.
That was a pretty big hit. 13 of the 25 lost houses, so that's something that we're all dealing with and reeling from also.
But some of the toughest work was yet to come. Long after the fire was extinguished, the complicated process of dealing with insurance companies is still underway for many on the team. Zidovich says it can be exhausting, and half of his department is going through it.
When the fire happened and we burned down, I figured, we'll be in our house in a year and a half. That's completely unrealistic. From date of loss, I'd say 2 to 3 years if you're lucky.
Evidence of the fire is everywhere, from the burnt-out vehicles in front of the fire hall to the forest right behind where trees jut out of the scorched earth like blackened matchsticks. Living through a disaster like this, however, has built resilience.
Right now, we are super strong. It's an absolutely great place to be. People are motivated.
Not only is the fire department stronger, it's growing in numbers.
It's been amazing that even after all of these losses, we haven't had a single firefighter leave the department. And in fact, we've done some training, brought 3 new firefighters on board.
And as we head into what experts say could be a very challenging fire season, this fire department says it's ready for whatever this summer brings. Brady Strachan, CBC News, near West Kelowna.
As crews gear up for this year, the BC Wildfire Service has been holding wildfire boot camps in Merritt. The CBC's Shelley Joyce, whose daughter herself is in training, got a first-hand look at what recruits across the province are up against. Might not be summer weather, there's snow, rain and muck, but that didn't deter the recruits she met from taking on the challenge.
And let's start getting this.
Taylor Parker is 19 and from Salmon Arm, BC. She says she loves the BC forest and wants to do all she can to protect it.
I love the natural beauties of BC, and I don't want to see it all go up into smoke, so I want to do what I can. I love working hard, pushing myself and seeing that I can make a difference.
Cold trailing is one of the skills being practiced at this boot camp. It's a strategy where firefighters feel for hot embers with their fingers.
They have to cover on their hands and knees, inch by inch, by their hands to feel all through the root systems and through the dirt, just to make sure there's nothing burning left inside there. So anything warm, or see how they're grabbing the sticks there, they have to grab every single piece of material, woody material, and making sure that there's nothing burning and they can pull it outside the fire's edge.
This is just one of many challenges practiced again and again at this boot camp over 5 days. These firefighters, they're all brand new recruits, are hauling huge packs and hoses up this hillside, up to 150 pounds, and they're doing it for 2 hours straight. This is all part of the learning process. They'll take the skills they learn here today and take them into the forest when they're fighting fires this summer.
It was good. It was tough at the start, but the team kept us motivated. We just kept pushing each other and kept pushing hard and found a next gear. We kept going further than we thought we could, and it started snowing pretty heavy on us, but we just kept going.
Exhausted, but it gets them ready for the season when they might be doing it for 10 hours, right?
As BC Wildfire heads into what is expected to be a busy season, They hope to have their new recruits hit the ground running. Shelley Joyce, CBC News, Merritt.
Let's bring in our Darius Madavian. Darius, quite the juxtaposition, seeing them practicing digging for hot spots while snow is still falling on the ground, but really tells a tale of where we're at this season.
Yes, absolutely. And again, the earlier the start we can get, the better. I mean, yeah, it is really something else to see. Our fire danger has come down in recent days as we've seen some cooler conditions, especially up in the northeast, some wetter conditions as well. A good dump of snow came over the last few days. So a little bit of an improvement in terms of the fire situation. Given the drought situation, though, underlying it, it's probably not going to be too long lasting. As soon as we see some sunnier, hotter days, which we're expecting as we get into the end of this week, I'd expect to see this shoot back up pretty quickly as that snow melts. But for now, any reprieve is a well accepted. There we go. Well received is the word I was looking for. If we take a look at the satellite imagery across BC, you'll notice that we have seen those showers start to taper off over the last few hours, but we do have some lightning activity over in the Fraser Valley, some thunderstorms that have formed. They shouldn't last for too long. They should start to taper off as we get later into the evening, but worth noting, I do wish they came here because I do miss a good thunderstorm from back in Ontario. If we take a look at the precipitation across the rest of the province, you'll notice a little bit of activity still in central BC, also in parts of the north as well, although we can't see it on this graphic because we don't have radar coverage up there. But again, things are calming down, even though we will still have some showers overnight tonight, particularly in the southern interior. And beyond that, just a little bit of cloud tomorrow morning before it clears up by noon.
All right, we'll bring you back with the rest of the 5-day forecast in a few. Thanks, Darius.
Thanks, Tanya.
Well, the Vancouver Canucks return to Rogers Arena tonight for Game 5, much anticipated. A win tonight against the Nashville Predators will send the Canucks on to round 2 of the playoffs. Vancouver police say officers are preparing for post-game celebrations.
We will have extra officers inside the venue. We'll have extra officers outside the venue and throughout the downtown core. There'll be plenty of us wearing our reflective vests, officers on bicycles, on horse, on foot. We'll have our traffic control out, as well as our liquor enforcement coordinator out.
Officers are encouraging fans to celebrate responsibly, asking people who want to have a drink to do so either at a bar, a restaurant, or at home, rather than out in public. More and more celebrations have been popping up across BC as the Canucks inch closer into the playoffs. One hotspot has been drawing revelers for years, even decades. Our Karis Hogg went down to Scott Road and 72nd Ave to get a feel for what a Canucks win tonight might look like at that very popular intersection.
I'm here on Canuck Corner in Surrey Delta, Scott Road and 72nd. What do people think here about the Canucks' big game happening tonight? They could punch their ticket to the second round. What do you think about this corner being a hub for Canucks celebration?
I think every corner should be a hub, so this is as good as any of them. It's so wonderful. People get together, they've got something happy to share. They're not protesting, they're celebrating. Yeah, go Canucks go. If that's what it takes, let's go for it.
What do you think about this corner?
I think it's pretty wild. It's crazy. It's unbelievable.
And do you think it's going to be crazy tonight if the Canucks win?
Oh, it would be like unbelievable.
I remember when, like I said, back in 2010 when they were making the run on the Stanley Cup Finals. I remember just every time the Canucks won a game, it was wherever you were, you come up here, and I think it started off with just a couple people taking over the intersection, and then as time went on, it just became a huge thing. And every time you come down here now after a Canuck game, all you hear is see people running across and fans going crazy and just super excited that playoff hockey's back in Vancouver.
So you work here at Spice 72, which is a restaurant right at the corner of Scott Road and 72nd. And Gurman, have you been here during Canuck celebrations?
I was here in every single celebration, yeah.
And what is that like?
It was crazy out there. People were coming, celebrating. The population is coming more and more. People are coming more and more to see in here. And I think when they will win tonight and fix the game for the second round, there will be crazy outrage in here. And I hope the Canucks win this game and goes to the second round. And because it increases our sale as well, so why not?
In the last few events that we've had where community has come out to celebrate, they have been peaceful. There's been very minor incidents that were dealt with at the time. But looking ahead, we're not aiming to shut down the intersection. We're going to hope that community stays off the main roads and the traffic can continue as usual.
Up next, tax season is coming to an end for most Canadians, but if you own a business, you've probably got payments and deadlines throughout the year. So after the break, a tax law expert walks us through everything business owners need to know. Stay with us. It is April 30th and tax season ends today for most Canadians, but for business owners, tax filing and deadlines can be tricky and sometimes a seemingly never-ending ordeal. For more on this, we're joined by Arif Noorani, a lawyer specializing in tax and business law with the Noorani Law Group. Welcome, Arif.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for joining us. So first of all, take us through maybe the most common issues you see when working with businesses during tax season.
Yeah, I mean, it can honestly range from a newly incorporated business that maybe just hasn't consulted with like a lawyer or an accountant or a bookkeeper, and they just haven't really kept accurate records, and now we're getting close to deadlines, and they're under the gun to make some very, very quick choices. So that's often when we get late calls in the 11th hour to come in and to hopefully try and save the day.
What kind of undertaking is that behind the scenes a little bit? What do you have to do to get that under control?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just a lot of forensics, basically, I guess, having a chat with the client to figure out exactly what has been going on, and then seeing exactly what their existing, structure looks like, and then seeing if we're able then to add some value, to add some complexity, and hopefully be able to get them out of it.
Just walk it back a little bit in layman's terms. How different is, say, a business's tax filings compared to personal? Like, what kind of other factors are you looking at? What other variables are involved here?
Yeah, so on the business side, we're I guess, often having to deal with obviously it'd be either one owner or a few owners, and then ensuring that we're working closely with obviously their accountant to ensure that, you know, they've claimed the adequate amount of salary, that they, you know, if they've also claimed on dividends, that, you know, it's all being done in really the most tax optimized way. So it's a lot of it's a lot of back and forth with obviously the client and the accountant and the bookkeeper to figure out, okay, have we got everything covered, and are they in the best position?
So getting into the weeds a little bit from a tax standpoint, when is the best time for a sole proprietorship to become incorporated?
That's a great question, and we're often asked that a lot, especially in our wills and estates planning as well, because you know, if you've got an individual who's maybe starting a business or is looking to grow their on a business, they often would at that time come to us to have the company incorporated. Other kind of factor would also be is that if the company has issues with, I guess, a liability. So if it's a construction company that, you know, maybe they are working with heavy machines and they're on sites that can be a little bit precarious, to be in an unincorporated entity is a lot more beneficial than just acting as a sole proprietor.
It sounds like that could be a rather complex or maybe lengthy process. What's the timeline on achieving that?
Honestly, on our end, on the legal side, we can actually turn it around very, very quickly once we've got instructions from the client and the accountant. But really, it's just a question of, you know, is it at the right time? Have they reached maybe enough revenue for it to make fiscal sense? So those are the questions that we often have in initial consultation to like see is really now the right time.
Right. And I guess finally, what are your top three, say, tax saving tips for small business owners?
Really good question. I'd say really number one is to try and utilize software as much as you can to try and track expenses, to also try and track, you know, your on a revenue, to actually see, how is the business doing? Are we viable? Number two would probably then be to really lean on a professional team. So whether that is your accountant and your bookkeeper or your lawyer, to ensure that, you know, you've really built the right team that really understands what your goals are and can help you achieve that. And then really with the you know, on a last point there would just be to ensure that, you know, you are basically putting aside enough revenue and also money every month to either either save or to remit early, so that you're not basically hit at the 11th hour with this massive tax bill and you just haven't really put aside and allocated funds properly.
Know what you're dealing with in advance. Okay,
yes,
great tips.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That is Arif Nurani, a lawyer specializing in tax and business law at Nurani Law Group. Up next, on the eve of opening, we head back to the route of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion and continue our series hearing from both proponents and opponents of the project. More on that after the break. Welcome back. Alberta oil will finally start to flow through the Trans Mountain pipeline expansion as early as tomorrow, and some First Nations along the route are sharing their opinions on the worth of this project. In part 2 of his 3-part journey, the CBC's Aaron Collins breaks down some of the conflicts and some of the potential solutions.
The Thompson River runs right through Secwepemc territory. So does the Trans Mountain pipeline, its expansion easy to see from the banks. We're following the path of the line to the coast, stopping in Kamloops along the way. And Tecumloops means where the rivers meet in the Shuswap language. For some who speak the language, TMX is a scar on the land, impossible to ignore.
If we don't say anything, if we're not being active in our communities and doing the ceremonies that we're doing, then we won't, people won't know what our opposition is.
Yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo.
This Secwepemc matriarch made her objection clear, cutting her hair in protest.
All lives on Secwepemc. We see you, we love you.
Mourning the expansion of the line running across her nation's land.
Take it, our sister.
Arrested and jailed for standing in its way.
This is our lives as Indigenous people, is we're protecting water and we're wanting to have ceremony and do all of that. Then, you know, this is it. This is all of it here. This is what we're protecting.
Just 40 kilometers outside Kamloops, the pipeline crosses the Whispering Pines Indian Band's territory. The potential dangers of the line lie just under this ground too, but they're walking a different path here, seeing an opportunity in this expansion.
This is where the risk and the reward sort of sits for you.
Yeah, we've always lived with the risk, and now we want some of the benefit. Previously, the benefits has always flowed somewhere else. Today it goes to Ottawa. Previously, it went to Houston, Texas.
People here are part of an Indigenous-led group that wants to buy Trans Mountain.
Come on, babe. She won't come over here. She's a rodeo horse. She knows if I go for a ride on her, it's for work. Come on, Chinook.
Used to chasing down horses, now rounding up other First Nations looking to invest, partnering with a Calgary-based pipeline company to make it happen. No easy task.
I always tell people I have 8 sisters, and if you think they all agree, I have some news for you. Because, you know, not everybody agrees with owning the pipeline. And I get it, I understand. But it's here, it's on the landscape. We have to live with it.
Now, the group has around 40 nations on board so far, but it isn't the only Indigenous-led group looking for ownership of the pipeline. Back in Alberta, another group hopes to use the pipeline to help right historical wrongs.
Every First Nation has managed poverty since the signing of treaties and since the establishment of this country. That has to change.
This member of the Enoch Cree Band helped start up the nation's casino, a business that boosted his band's finances. Now he's rolling the dice on buying a pipeline. His group wants to own TMX entirely, divvying up the profits between all the impacted First Nations along the line. A kind of economic reconciliation.
What these initiatives are trying to change are those economic opportunities for the respective First Nations to share in the revenue base. If they would have done that, and by that I mean if the government would have done that right from day one, there wouldn't be the poverty that we have on these communities.
All along TMX's path, First Nations are hearing these pitches. Talk of economic benefits down the road. Similar cases were made when the pipeline expansion was first proposed. Further west, near Abbotsford, BC, the Sumas Band and their chief were listening.
It was back and forth, and of course, yeah, people were looking at the possibility of getting some money out of this, right?
This Trans Mountain tank farm sits on traditional Sumas territory. the risk of a spill in the area anything but hypothetical. There have been several over the years. Worries about more accidents complicate any economic benefits here.
I mean, you've agreed to what's going on here, but that doesn't mean you're not worried about what it's going to mean for your people.
Yes, we've come to an agreement, but of course there are the concerns that still worry us. Yeah, the majority of our people said that we need to go into an agreement of sorts, but my personal druthers were otherwise.
And it's mostly about water, right? I mean, it's mostly about water running downhill.
Yeah, water and environment in general. And after the spill,
the Sumas have come to an agreement to let the pipeline cross their territory, but for now, they've decided they don't want an ownership stake. As we approach the coast where Trans Mountain meets the sea, resistance to the line is perhaps most fierce. In Vancouver, the Tsleil-Waututh Nation has been leading that resistance. The Trans Mountain's marine terminal sits on unceded Tsleil-Waututh territory.
You threaten our lands and waters. Right?
I have heard some fellow leaders of yours.
You have no right to do that to us.
Sir?
Members of that nation have gone to jail to stop the project.
It's interesting as we kind of look across the water here.
Still fighting it, even now that it's been built.
It doesn't change anything. We've been here since time out of mind, protecting and caring for our water. You know, there are some concerns because now the risks are real.
Those risks tied to climate change and the natural disasters associated with it. This pipeline project, part of a larger existential threat for this nation.
Water takes care of us, you know, so of course we're very concerned with the fires, the atmospheric rivers, with the floods.
Still, the Trans Mountain expansion is a done deal. More oil will move from this terminal into tankers in Burrard Inlet.
Our future! Our fight! Our future! Our fight!
Over the years, Vancouver's art gallery was ground zero for many protests against the line.
Whenever I came here, it was a big thing. It was like, whoa, there's a lot of energy here, there's a lot of people here.
But that energy has changed. It's much quieter here now. And this Secwepemc knowledge keeper, a hard no on the pipeline in the past, has softened, focused on moving on.
I want people who are so on one side or the other to remember that we're people, that we're here in this together, that we have to reach each other's hearts, minds, and spirits.
A step away from conflict, hopefully moving towards something better.
That's the CBC's Aaron Collins reporting, and we'll bring you the third and final part of this series tomorrow. Taking you across the pond now, King Charles returned to public duties today for the first time since his cancer diagnosis. He met with cancer patients and their families, and as Briar Stewart shows us, he shared more about his own health as well.
A crowd awaited the King's arrival outside of a hospital in central London, and so did a few curious onlookers working and living nearby. This was King Charles's official return to public duties, since the palace announced he was diagnosed with an unspecified form of cancer in February. He appeared to reply that he was feeling not too bad. Inside, he was greeted by a large cheer, then given a quick tour by doctors who explained how they screen patients for cancer.
And the more cancers we diagnose earlier, the more patients we can cure.
He and Queen Camilla spent most of their time meeting with cancer patients, talking to them about their illnesses and the care they're receiving.
He's been campaigning for many years, been working with cancer charities for many years, been making appearances like this, but this has a sort of different feel now because he's coming to this as someone who really understands this from a personal perspective.
Outside of the hospital, well-wishers were happy to see him out and seemingly in good spirits.
I mean, it's good to see that he's able to get back to work and feeling better and able to do so.
I think it's a good thing that he's sharing his journey with us as well, because a lot of people will be concerned about him.
And there's also lingering concern about the Princess of Wales.
And cancer had been present.
Who announced last month that she was undergoing preventative chemotherapy following a major abdominal surgery in January. It's uncertain when she will be healthy enough to resume public duties and how full the King's schedule will be going forward.
Cancer treatment is often tiring and fatiguing, and it's really important for his sake that he's given good advice on how he paces his return, how he paces his work commitments.
The palace says it's not clear how much longer Charles will undergo cancer treatment and that any public engagements will be subject to his doctor's advice. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Coming up, as the U.S. struggles to contain an outbreak of avian flu in dairy cows, there are concerns Canada isn't doing enough to monitor the virus. Why scientists are calling for more action next. Welcome back. The United States is struggling to contain a massive outbreak of avian flu in dairy cows. While here at home, some scientists are warning that Canada's efforts to monitor the virus are falling short. CBC's Lauren Pelly has more on their calls for action.
South of the border, an unprecedented outbreak of bird flu in dairy cattle keeps growing. More than 30 herds across 9 U.S. states now have confirmed infections, and scientists warn the outbreak is even bigger than it appears. Government tests on processed milk found virus fragments in 1 out of every 5 samples.
The fact that we're finding viral RNA in pasteurized milk doesn't mean that there's virus in the pasteurized milk that's going to make people sick, but it does mean that there was an infected cow contributing to the milk supply.
Officials say there are no reports of this virus in Canadian dairy cattle, but there have been millions of infections among wild and farmed birds across the country, suggesting there's plenty of H5N1 circulating here, too. CBC News asked federal officials what process is in place to detect any traces of the virus in Canadian milk. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says that's not happening yet. They'll help with testing should H5N1 be detected in Canadian cattle. The agency is also requiring dairy cows imported from the U.S. to be screened for bird flu.
I think we're way behind the virus.
Scientists say Canada needs to be more proactive.
In the absence of a robust national surveillance program, there's no way to know if there is infections here or not.
At the University of Guelph, researchers are taking matters into their own hands. The team started tracking influenza in Ontario wastewater a few months ago to study trends in human infections. Now they're pivoting to see if any H5N1 shows up.
We're seeing very low levels, if any, of influenza right now. So if we should see a sudden spike, then that would certainly get our attention.
The hope is by tracking the virus early, there's a chance Canada could prevent an explosion of cases striking our dairy cattle as well. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
And let's bring back our Darius Madavi. And Darius, really significant at how this virus is spreading so viciously, it seems, among cattle.
Yes, absolutely. Just the scale of this outbreak that is concerning, especially how quickly it's able to spread, as we heard just within weeks, between populations of cows really rapidly. And so just to highlight why this is a big deal, the fact that it is in cows rather than just birds, I mean, it is in birds here in Canada, we share about 60% of our DNA with chickens and most birds, whereas we share about 80% of our DNA with cows. Now, it's not a perfect proxy because the way that diseases infect different cells really varies. It's not necessarily exactly what had to do with the DNA, but it's a good proxy for how easily a virus can make a jump from one animal to another, how much DNA they share. So the fact that it's now spreading really easily in cows makes it easier and more likely that it will cross the species barrier into humans and spread really rapidly among us. And so one thing that a lot of scientists are highlighting is the fact that when we have this the first infection among in humans, that's probably too late for us to really make a big dent in how quickly it's going to spread. So the fact that we can stop it, it's really important to stop it before it even makes that species jump, which is why they're pushing so hard for restrictions. So just to give a little bit of context as to why this is a big deal. Now, with that being said, science is out of the way. Let's turn to the weather. Different kind of science. We saw some showers across the region again today, some snow on the local mountains, but generally we're calming down over the next few days. In terms of the forecasted precipitation, again, a few more showers tonight mostly, but then pretty much drying out. Some cloud returns tomorrow morning before clearing out in the afternoon across most of southwestern BC after those thunderstorms clear out of the valley tonight as well, or just this evening. And then our next real chance of rain doesn't really come until Friday, reaching the island Friday morning, and then not making it to us until that sort of overnight Friday into Saturday period. If we take a look across the province, we do see some more precipitation activity across parts of the province, and then again moving in here later in the day, later in the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday looking a bit more showery, in some places maybe even rainy, especially on the west coast of the island. But generally speaking, it's not until the weekend that we see any major precipitation activity really anywhere in the province. Now, if we take a look at our temperatures, those are going to continue coming up over the next few days, both here on the coast, although less so, and in the interior. So we're going to get warmer and warmer. And then if we take a look at our conditions across the province, again, lots of sunshine everywhere, but still some showers lingering into tomorrow morning, maybe reappearing in the afternoon, just those convective showers in the southern interior. And then beyond that, we just got lots of sun and then a little bit of rain coming this weekend. Something for everybody.
I was going to say that time of year where it's a bit of everything. We'll take that. Thanks, Darius.
Thank you.
Still to come, making literacy accessible. The Kamloops Elementary School has just built the district's first Braille library, and it's all thanks to an 8-year-old student. We'll explain after the break.
8-year-old Michael Barrett is an avid reader. He's also vision impaired.
His school community rallied together to build the first Braille library in the Kamloops School District. Check it out.
Hello, I am Michael Barrett. I am 8 years old and I'm in grade 3 and this is my Braille library.
We're very fortunate that we have a new Braille library for the building. And Michael can access these books along with his classmates. He gets to peruse the shelves, he gets to go through, he gets to pick a book, he gets to take that with him back to the class. Great too for other kids because a lot of the books, the Braille is just over top of the print. And so this allows him to share that with the other students because they can take these same books out and read and see what he feels when he's reading.
What does it feel like when you're reading?
It feels kind of weird. There's 6 dots on the full self-4, and each dot you can make letters out of. So like a G, the four dots.
Totally outgoing, little sponge with learning.
It's Braille with it's Lego with Braille dots.
Yeah, he's just a fun-loving kid that wants to know and learn everything. And
say if you're just doing something for practice and you know you're gonna have to erase it, you don't want to Braille it out and then have to just get rid of it.
I'm Rebecca Anderson. I'm Michael's CEA Brailleist. My role with him is to take the material that he puts out in Braille and transcribe it into print for his teacher. The print material, worksheets, those things that come to Michael from his teacher all need to be transcribed into Braille.
Well, I don't have a chair, I'll stand.
Okay. Michael is a ferocious reader, cannot keep up with him. Michael wants to read all the time. The Hobbit, yeah. And Michael gets a real kick out of that one. It's his favorite to talk about right now when we're talking to classes about the Braille Library.
he's just happy every day and bringing home new books and is so excited.
Just how much you practice matters how much you can move forward.
Good for him. Well, Canucks start 7 o'clock. That's in exactly, 50 seconds. So before we go, Darius, game predictions on the score tonight.
3-1.
3-1.
Pulled that out of nowhere.
For who?
You? Oh, the Canucks, of course.
Oh, thank goodness.
I thought that
you
was
were about
implied,
to get booed
obviously.
off this set.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 3-2 Canucks win in overtime.
Okay.
We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you think the strategy is going to be?
Just score a goal.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Score more than the other team. I don't think
Hopefully
it's that
we
hard.
have a goallie too. All right.
Yeah. Thanks. That's your CBC Vancouver News at 6 o'clock this Tuesday, April 30th. For news anytime, anywhere, download the free CBC News app.
You can always find us online as well, cbc.ca/BC. Michelle Gassoub is up with your next local newscast at 11 o'clock right after the National. Thanks for watching, and here's a live shot outside Rogers Arena as we say goodnight.